Hey there, Sanka, everybody. Welcome back for another Marhaba Crypto Show. Today we got a phenomenal episode for you guys. But before that, Moby, how are you doing? How's Australia? How are the kangaroos?
You're good, man. Kangaroos are good. It's getting warmer here. It's springtime. And still enjoying lockdown. So nothing really to report on my side, but I'm excited for our a big show we've got today.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, guys, usually we do the market update first, and then we jump into the other stuff. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Marhaba update first, and then we're going to talk about the market update, and we're going to go on from there. So, to just start off, and just to kind of give you guys a background about Marhaba itself, just in case if you're new to the show, just in case this is the first time you're watching, Marhaba DeFi is the first Sharia or faith-based DeFi solution, and it's a full ecosystem solution. So there's got NFTs, it's got a Sahal wallet, it's got liquidity harvesting and all that fun stuff. Now, I want to get into all of these details, but this entire show would be about those details. So I recommend you go check out our website at marhabadefi.com. We'll actually link all this stuff in the description below, and you can go to the documents section and you can read the white paper also in regards to this. And also, if you're interested, the Sharia green paper, which just came out recently. So yeah. Moby, let's get started with the Marhaba update. So this week was very exciting for us with the team. We had some phenomenal partnerships. We have partnered up with Algebra. We have partnered up with Creditus and Areola Ventures. Some of these are financial partnerships. Some of these are just strategic partnerships. And they're all helping us go towards our main goal, which is building this phenomenal ecosystem. Now, if you want to read more about these partnerships, I recommend that you join us on our Telegram group. And also you check these guys out through our social media, because we were going to be writing an entire article with them. I don't want to get into too many details, kind of take away the surprise element from it. But yeah, you guys can check it out on social media. Other than that, we have the sticker contest, and we have winners. The sticker contest is phenomenal. The winners have gotten their rewards. So you guys, if you are one of them, check out your wallets. You guys must have some money in there extra. Always bonus money is good. The green paper is launched. Green paper is the Sharia concept paper. We had our scholars work on this in-depthly, so you guys need to take some time, read it through, and understand what's going on and why it's important to have Marhaba DeFi in that specific manner, in the Sharia compliant manner. It's a solution for everyone, and it's an ethical solution for everyone. And if you haven't read the white paper yet, check it out. We've also launched that. That was also launched last week, so check it out for sure. I think those are the main updates for this week. Moby, I will send this over to you. What's the market update? What's going on with the crypto world?
Yeah, so big week this week. Obviously, I'm going to discuss, the elephant in the room, the 19% in 1 day Bitcoin drop. But before I get there, we had a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about my first big NFT purchase, right? I spoke about the Raccoon Secret Society. I was really excited about it, and then something happened this week, right? So something interesting happened. We got a whole bunch of comments from some of our subscribers in previous videos. I had a lot of people message me about this, and I need to address it. So, of course, I bought these secret raccoons, whatever you want to call them. Let me share my screen. The Raccoon Secret Society. They're like a lot of display picture type of NFTs. These randomly generated NFTs, unique NFTs, and some of them have different traits, and they're worth a lot more. Anyway, cool. So I spoke about that, and then earlier this week I jumped into the Discord group, and there was a whole bunch of chaos, right? There was people just arguing with each other, and there was all this kind of news, and then from there it led me to this tweet, which I'll share with you guys, and it was like, by the Raccoon Secret Society, the NFT community is sick. At this time, we're working with the project with one goal: to show people what they were actually buying when they click mint. All the raccoons are dead now, and you, the NF community, were the ones who killed them. There was a story by Yahoo Finance, NFT collections Raccoon Secret Society kills the entire project to prove a point. And there was a lot of kind of misconception around, was this a rug pull? Was this not a rug pull? Right? So, look, I'll be honest with you, Ahmed. At first, I thought it was a rug pull, and I wasn't sure what had happened.
You start freaking out.
you start freaking out. And look, honestly, guys, this is kind of the same rule you have in NFT. You need to have as you have in crypto. Like, only invest as much as you can afford to lose. Like, really, Not sort of, oh, I can maybe afford $1,000, or if, I can afford $100. Oh, let me put $500, because we all do that mental maths in our head. We're like, oh, if that doubles, then that doubles to 200 or 1,000 or 10,000, and like these unrealized profits are worth zero. They're worth nothing. So I had invested probably about, I don't know, about 1,500, 1,400, enough for me to lose and not worry about it, but also enough for me to feel the pinch. So it's a good reminder, like anything like this can happen, right? Just because NFTs doesn't mean you own it. So anyway, long story short, it turns out it was a little bit of a publicity stunt. They started tweeting about the fact that, guys, we did this to show people, that just because we could do it. And the thing is, to be honest, they are still, tweeting, they're still developing, they still have listings on OpenSea, they're still quite active, right? So, but this is sort of my thing, Ahmed. Like, it makes me feel, really uncomfortable, what they sort of did. Like, if I knew they were going to do this, I wouldn't have invested. And this is sort of my message to the people that reached out to us on YouTube as well. Like, what do I sort of think? Okay, this is the thing. If you guys remember, and I'm not just making this up now, 2-3 weeks ago, and you guys can, check out that on our YouTube channel, I spoke about a website that I use to find NFTs, NFT calendar or something, and 2-3 things that I look for. And I sort of said, my personal NFT thesis is I look for something with a community, and it had a big community. I look for good artwork. And I said expression of identity, right? An expression of identity. Like, when you jump into these groups, and when you jump into groups where people have stuff already, like, they're enamored by them. And yeah, sure, it's a little bit funny, but it's not really. Like, it's the same reason why we wear Nike and Adidas, and I say, like your favorite football team or whatever. It's an expression of who you are. Like, you don't buy a Toyota for it to turn into a Mazda, right? People are buying something, so they don't want something for it to be turned into bones. Now, the other thing too is they're sort of saying, well, now you can use the bones for enhancement, and you can feed the bones to angels and whatnot. But the thing is, like, that's not what people want, right? And what it has kind of taught me is I forgot a rule that I use in crypto, and that is you look at the founders, right? So when you're looking at crypto, you look at, okay, technology, user case, tokenomics, how does that token get value? You look at these things, and you look at the founding team. You should almost never invest in something when you don't know who the founding team is. Right? If they don't have a track record. Now, this is the thing in NFT, right? Someone might say, oh, yeah, great, Moby. Now I've got a list of all these things. Does it have community? Is the artwork good? Expression of identity? Is there a team, or does that team have a track record? Well, yeah, because you have so much to pick from now. You have so much now. Like, at this point, honestly, and I can talk about this in future episodes, the NFTs I'm looking at now are more Solana based, because I know it's going to cost me nothing to mint them. It will cost me 0.0 of a cent to mint them, right? So there is so much choice out there. So I sort of wanted to just kind of share that with everyone, share my update. It's not a rug pull. That my raccoons are still probably worth the same amount as they were when I got them, but with gas fees, I'm probably still down a little bit. So I'm going to hold them. I'm going to see what happens. But my message to the founders is, guys, you are not in a place to teach people a lesson, right? Like, if someone bought one or someone bought two, and that's all they could afford, and they thought they were really cute, and it fit them, it was very them, and it fit them. That's their right. It's not your right to go and teach people a lesson, right? So I hope they do something with, now I'm not going to get into it, but they have these angels, they call them these angel raccoons that are not bones, but most of them are bones. And what I would say to you, the founders, if people invested, do something, do the right thing, fix it, give them back their raccoons, and move on. So it's not the community for me. After this, I noticed there was a little bit of infighting as well. There was a little bit of toxicity, toxic environment. So, but yeah, learning nonetheless. And your thoughts on that, Ahmed? The NFT space, it's obviously a very moving, piece right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, I'll be honest with you. After this happened, I thought this is more of a good thing, and I'll explain to you why I'm saying that. Now, I'm not. I feel if you lost any money, I empathize with you, obviously. But what I mean by this is that there's more character development in the NFT world now. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, yes, people have seen this happen, so they're going to be a little bit more smarter with this. But even in the concept of the artwork, NFTs, games, the cartoons themselves, this further development in this. So that movement, it kind of got me excited. I said, you know what? Part of me was like, I should have bought some, and I should have seen
It
what's going
is
to happen next.
interesting. It is
Yeah,
interesting.
there's a story now. There's a story, and there's like this whole charismatic feel behind it, and that's why I was like, maybe I should have gotten one raccoon from you, Moby. I should have bought a raccoon from you. I don't know. So that was my humble opinion on it when you told me the other day about the bones and everything, and I was like, oh, okay, it's exciting. There's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
movements happening with your NFT.
And this is why it's good to have different perspectives. I love that perspective. And honestly, some people had that perspective. Some people were like, oh, this sucks. And, you know, and other people were like, oh, no, this is awesome. And I think it is exciting. But, you know, I sort of like, I'm a marketer, so I can't help thinking about expression, identity and stuff. So that part of me, and my thesis is around, you know, things that people can invest in that reflect them. So it just rubbed me the wrong way that I bought something and got something else. But I completely hear you, and it's a very good point. And some of them are going to be worth a lot more than others. But yeah, really good point.
Yeah, yeah. All right. What's next?
Okay, so let's get into the actual market update. So obviously, Bitcoin crashed a 19% on Tuesday, and you know, roughly depending on your time zone. And funnily enough, that was also the day that El Salvador's law of adopting Bitcoin as national tender came into effect. So if you're in El Salvador, you can literally walk into a McDonald's, pay with Bitcoin, and have a Big Mac if you want. You know, from
Huge news.
Big Macs to paying your accountant. Absolutely. So this happened on that day. So at first I thought, okay, maybe this is a case of market manipulation. Maybe it's a case of, you know, central banks and the IMF trying to send them a message. But then, you know, and of course that is a possibility. But when you look at the markets and you kind of, you know, when a day or two after that sort of came out and I looked into it, it's a little bit more complicated. So as fun as it is to say, oh, it's the Illuminati and, you know, it's some sort of secret society trying to get at El Salvador, the poor, you know, the little guys, it probably isn't. You know, it is definitely a market correction that is very normal in a cycle. You know, when something goes up so fast, so hard, you do require the correction. And when you sort of, you know, do look into it, in the lead up, there was a lot of positivity. Right. So if I go back to my screen here, we've shared this before, the fear and greed index. This looks at market sentiment. It looks at a whole bunch of factors here. If you guys want to check it out, it's very interesting. It looks at what people are saying on social media, momentum, volatility. And you can see here, it says, you know, last week it was greed, you know, now it is fear. So when you get this sustained level of bullishness, this sustained level of positivity, you know, the fear and greed index goes really, really well. That is when you get a lot of leverage trading, right? And guys, this is why leverage trading isn't allowed in Islam, because like leverage trading, it makes the pumps go higher and it makes the drops go, you know, even lower as well. But not to get into that. That's not the scope of my discussion today. I'm not a Sharia compliant mufti or anything. But essentially what sort of happened was, and if you guys don't know what leverage trading is, it's when you use funds that you borrow those funds, right? They're not your funds to increase your position. So maybe you wanted to, you know, like a normal person, you put in $100 and you want it to go up. You're like, oh, I think it's going to go up. I'm going to borrow 10 times that amount. You know, they even do sometimes 20x or even 100x of what I've put in.
If you do 4x, you can go way, way higher than that. Yeah, 4x is wild. Yeah.
It's insane, and Binance has cracked down on that. We mentioned that a couple of episodes ago. They've reduced that just because they started getting a lot of heat. But there is a lot of that happening right now. So essentially, really, you know, to keep things simple, the market got really, really excited. You know what I'm showing here on my screen right now. You can see on the top line there, that's the price of Bitcoin, and then on the bottom you have the futures open interest. So the futures open interest just tells you the level of, I guess, leverage trading out there. It was going higher and higher and higher. You had all this bullishness. And what happens in leverage trading is when there's a little dip, there's another dip, because, you know, they're trying to, you know, recoup their losses, and that triggers another dip. And then you kind of get these dips. So that's essentially what happened. So now, do I think the El Salvador news was kind of connected? I do, but it could have been a small trigger. But I think ultimately it was a lot of leverage in the place. And it's good for this to happen, to shake out those leverage traders, to make the leverage, come down a little bit. So the question does arise, and if you guys are kind of, like me, you think about, okay, who did actually sell? The good news is that long-term holders, it wasn't long-term holders, it wasn't people who've held their coins for more than 12 months. It came more from short-term holders, along with those liquidations that essentially, pushed that. So this is on-chain metrics. This is data that we can see. It was relatively short-term traders, not long-term traders. So is this a bull run, or is it a bear run or bull run or whatever? Well, often I can't say, but when it is a bear run, it is due to long-term holders selling. It's due to a lot of Bitcoin coming onto exchanges. So we don't think that's the case. Now, by the time you watch this, actually, it does remind me of one thing, because we were speaking about this the other day, Ahmed. Buying the rumor, sell the news, right? We spoke about this.
Yeah.
Where this happens a fair bit in crypto, where when the Coinbase IPO was coming out, so Coinbase was floating, listing on the stock exchange, Bitcoin's price was going up and up and up, and the event happens and it crashed. More often than not, you could almost place a bet. It's kind of like betting on the house. You could almost place a bet that buy the rumor, sell the news is a thing that happens. So maybe you can explain what that is, buy the rumor, sell the news, and when something like that is in effect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So something like you can say in regards to Cardano, Monday, huge news, smart contracts. But I've been doing research in regards to, because I do own Cardano also. So as you guys already know from the last episode, if you guys haven't checked out the last episode, check it out. We talk about our top 5 cryptos that we're holding. So yeah, the Cardano is one of them, or if it's the top 10 for sure. And I was thinking about, should I sell it? Should I maybe do a quick trade and then rebuy it after the news, like after Monday that actually happens? The reason behind this is because a lot of people, when they realize there's a pump coming, they start jumping into this specific trade or this specific crypto. But as soon as that specific thing is being implemented by that crypto, by that stock, by that investment medium, then they know it's already been done. There's not going to be a lot of pump behind it, so then people start selling. They enjoy that little pump and dump. It's not a real pump. It's not a pump and dump, but it's like that little pump and then that slight little dump, so they can make money, cook money on it. So I was thinking about doing it with Cardano, and Moby's advice to me was maybe you should buy the rumor, sell the news. Buy the rumor, sell the news. But at the same time, this sometimes can be a flip on you. Sometimes certain cryptos don't it doesn't happen like that. So you have to be a little bit careful. You may end up having a 5% overall decrease in your portfolio, or for Cardano or for that crypto, because you try to do, buy the rumor, sell the news. But after the news came out or after it was implemented, it didn't drop. It actually went up more. So that's also something you have to be careful about. Most of the time, it's actually, this is how it is. People jump onto the rumors to get that little pump, and then as soon as it's implemented, they kind of sell, and that's where the little drop happens. I hope that explains it well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good explanation, and the reason for that is people expect a lot more. Like we do this all the time. We do this with sports stars. We do this in markets. We make people bigger than they are. You know what I mean? There's this kind of enigma around them. So there's so much expectation. And we did find that. So with Cardano, when smart contracts were announced, there was this whole sort of pump. And of course, we had the dip. And earlier this morning, I did check. There was also another 5%. Right now, it's actually down. So I was hoping it was still going up to support my thesis. But it doesn't always happen like that with crypto, right? But one thing we can look at is the facts. We can definitely see I do think it might be a case of buy the rumor, sell the news, because when I do look at what the markets are doing, and when I do look at what's happening with Cardano, there's actually not a lot of, and even Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano, has said this, there's not a lot of apps that are actually going to go live. It's going to take some time. So last week they had some issues with one of their dexes, and I think it's called MinSwap. It's not MiniSwap, it's called MinSwap, where you could only do one transaction at a time. We obviously, that's not very DeFi. That's not very good. So what they've sort of said is, the people who've actually looked into it and not kind of got caught up in the FUD, is it's just a different way of doing things. It's not necessarily anything wrong with Cardano. It's almost like a different language. So there's not a lot of stuff actually going live soon. But one thing you guys do have to realize, Cardano still, from a long-term point of view, it's still a great project. They're still, the team have a lot of money. The treasury holds over $1 billion. This is a resource I'm sharing on my screen. The treasury holds over $1 billion to fund development. There's always pros and cons for centralized, decentralized, and this is a decentralized a project. But when you have something like Ethereum and you have to get all these people together and all these votes together for something to happen and raise all this money, it's more of a difficult proposition based on Cardano, that they actually have the money, and they have over 160 projects in their innovation fund. So long term it looks fine, but short term, don't be surprised if there is some dips coming up soon, when people sort of realize, nothing's really happening on this, or there's a one or two little bugs, which could be very inevitable. So moving on, Algorand, right? So Algorand, speaking of layer 1 blockchains, so layer 1 blockchains are, they're actually blockchains. There's a difference between a coin and a token, right? A coin is like a Bitcoin, a Algorand, a Solana, a Cardano. They're layer 1 blockchains, and the ones with smart contracts, so Ethereum and Cardano soon from tomorrow, and Solana, they're essentially, if you guys have heard that tossed around, smart contracts are basically if this then that, right? If this happens and I owe Ahmed some money, once the price goes to this, take it out of my wallet and do this, right? And the applications are incredible. You can take loans, you can do a whole bunch of stuff, and that kind of falls into DeFi. Anyway, another player in that space, another good project in that space is Algorand. They've recently attracted a $300 million fund, and they're using that to attract DeFi builders. So you don't need to be in finance to know that finance and DeFi, that's where the money is. So they're using this fund to try to attract people into that ecosystem. There's already a couple in there already. There's one called IDEX. IDEX, I think, pumped about like 50% in a day. It's been having these roller coaster pumps and whatnot. So another really good one to look out for. Moving on to Solana news, right? So Solana, it's one of those, guys, don't be surprised if we talk about Solana a fair bit. It is emerging as a huge play, and I've got a couple of quick updates for the Solana fans. So Lido is a staking pool. And what that allows you to do is, I guess, pool your money together with them and stake. So for example, with Ethereum, if you wanted to stake for Ethereum 2.0 and become a node, you'd have to gather 32 Ethereum. Now that's a lot of money, right? So what people do is they have these pools, and Lido has, a lot of things like that. So they were quite famous. They were quite well known for the Ethereum pool, and there you can see here there's a 4.6 APR. There's Terra Luna, but now recently they've released a Solana pool. In other news, now you have to realize, like I said, layer 1 blockchains. It's kind of like the road, right? It's kind of like the road, and on top of that, you build things. So one of those things that's being built, has already been built, is Saber. Just to throw some figures at you, right? They reached $0 to $1 billion in 3 months. They reached $1 billion to $2 billion in 3 days, and they went from $2 billion to $3 billion in 2 days, right? And this is a really, really exciting one. It is, when you kind of look into it, we might talk a little bit about this a little bit later. Oh no, sorry, we're talking about another one. It's a really, really sort of exciting one, and you can just see kind of the ecosystem just kind of growing, right? In my final sort of Solana news, a trust is being developed by these guys called Osprey Funds, where essentially what a trust is, well, one of what this trust is, it's kind of like Grayscale, right? So people who don't want to get their hands dirty in crypto, maybe they can't, maybe they're institutions, they'll invest in a fund, right? So Grayscale has the Bitcoin one, there's an Ethereum one too, I believe, Ahmed, as well. And now there's a fund for Osprey. Now, to get into this fund, you need a minimum of $10,000. And if I look on the website, there's all these things you've got to do. You have to have 10 grand. You have to be earning more than $200,000 per year, a net worth over 1 million. Crazy. Why am I sharing this with you? The point is, crypto, that's the thing, like these brands are now realizing this. Old money is now realizing this. So with a little bit of research and just knowing the application, and that's why we always try to talk about the application, what's happening in an ecosystem. Just knowing that you can get ahead. You don't have to be on 200K per year and have $1 million net worth to invest in these things. These people are doing that now. So if you're in the game, you know, you're in the right place, you know, be proud of yourself. You're doing the right thing. And that's it. That's the market update. And I guess one thing I will sort of say before I pass it back to Ahmed is, you know, follow us, share this around. We're almost hitting our first 100 subscribers. So imagine being one of those once we hit 1,000, 10,000. I was here since 100. So please subscribe. It helps us out. Like, comment, share. We can see just from the stats, I think 60% of you who are watching aren't subscribing. So please do so and hit that bell notification to get those notifications. But on to you, Ahmed.
All right, fantastic. Yes, guys, fantastic. That was a phenomenal market update. I think, guys, we gotta give support to Moby. So in the comments below, let Moby know what parts of this market update was your favorite, and you know he puts in a lot of effort every week for this. All right, so the crypto question of the week is Solana halal? And the reason why this is coming up is because there were so many questions about Solana. Solana is getting a pump. There's so much happening with Solana, so I thought, you know what, I'll reach out to the internal Sharia board of Marhaba DeFi and get their answer on this. So when it comes to spot trading, Solana is totally fine. But when you talk about staking, there's some issues and there's a gray area in which sense the scholars have said to maybe stay away from. The reason behind this is because Solana has a lot of unpermissible development on it. So when you stake, you're helping those transactions, come into existence. And because of that, you can't stake and make rewards on it because you're going to be making rewards from unpermissible transactions. I hope that kind of helps. But spot trading is fine because Solana itself is a layer one, and it's not, the utility of it isn't based off of something impermissible. It's really a development-based token and has some phenomenal use cases. So that's the crypto question of the week. Any last points from your side, Moby? What's your opinion on this before we end off the show?
No, it's a good point. I think it's important to clarify, you know, the differences between stuff. So, you know, I shared earlier the Lido story, and I think, you know, whether you are a Sharia compliant trader or you're not, because I know we've got fans from everywhere, it's still great. It's still bullish because obviously, you know, as you know, you've said from the Mufti board, you know, we understand that Solana is halal to spot trade. Right? And this other news that, you know, that, yeah, cool, staking is happening, Sabre is launching, or Sabre's doing really well on Solana, all these really bullish things are happening, is still great for us because we know it's permissible, we are trading. So I think it's important to distinguish these things. I'll always share the news that's kind of telling us, you know, what is rallying, what's not rallying, but of course, you know, always do your own research. And yeah, it's good to know that, you know, there are, you know, people out there. There is a Sharia board. There are people out there who are actually versed in this stuff, so we can kind of take that headache out of our head and try to like research because like you sort of said, like Ethereum staking, you know, is generally halal, but Solana is generally not. So there's nuances. It's not necessarily is staking halal. So yeah, thanks for that. I think insight. So really, really insightful stuff.
And I mean, you know, once the Sahal wallet is out, it'll make all of our life a lot easier because it'll have all that research done. We wouldn't have to read white papers for 2-3 days and try to determine these things, right? So I'm really looking forward to that. You guys stay excited. Once again, guys, keep coming to these shows. Watch us. Give us some support. Give us some love. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell notification icon. Help us. We're almost at 100. Like, come on. Get us to 100. We're a community, we're a family. Every week we come out here. Moby gives phenomenal insights of the market updates, things that we don't want to read, but Moby reads it for us and makes our life easier. Guys, take care of yourself. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.